It's the story of how I accidentally ate at a Michelin Star restaurant. I don't know what to say. Hello, welcome back to an episode of Lunch Break with me, Alex, your lunch break friend, the person you decided to spend your lunch break with, or just the next 5 to 15 minutes. Today, I have a nice little story for you, one that actually happened here in Berlin, a couple months into being here. So picture this. It's the Friday before Valentine's Day. Me and my roommate are hanging out, and we're like, we need to get some food. It's after work. It's later in the day. We thought, you know what, maybe let's go get some food. So we start talking about options. We start thinking about what we can go to and whatnot, and we settled on burgers, right? We settled on burgers. So it's the end of the night. I think it's a Friday night, and I had nothing going on, so I thought I'd smoke a little bit. Smoked a little bit, got a little... And made our way out. As we're making our way out, we start just talking about, what we're about to eat and whatnot. And all of a sudden, my roommate, Steven, is his name, Steven. My roommate, Steven, decides to go, you know what? Let's go try that new Korean spot. That Korean spot over on the other street, over by the puzzle shop. And I said, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Steven's very into Korean barbecue, Korean food, so he must know what's good. So I indulged him. So we get to this restaurant. We walk in the front door, and honestly, I don't know if it was because I was high or if it was just the actual vibe of the restaurant, but I felt that immediately as I walked in, in the movies when you walk into a place you're not supposed to be and everybody turns their head to look at you, that was literally how I felt. I felt like everybody turned and looked at us at that moment and was like, who are these people? So we go up to the hostess. We walk up to her and we go, can we have a table for two? And she goes, do you have a reservation? And immediately I look at Steven and I go, do we need a reservation at this place? And he goes, I don't know. I'm not sure. And the lady kind of looks at us puzzled for a second, and she goes, all right, let me see if there's anybody that canceled. If somebody canceled, you can have their table. And at this point, I'm just like, nothing really hit me yet. I'm still just feeling the eyeballs of everybody around me. I'm still feeling everybody just watching me as I stand here awkwardly. So we're standing there, we're waiting, and then the lady comes back to us and she goes, all right, somebody did cancel. You can have the seat right here. Then the woman comes around with the Speisekarte, the menu, and I look at the prices on this thing. And I look up at Steven and I go, where did you take me? These prices, it was $90 minimum for a meal. Easily. Then we get into this thing in all German that's explaining to us that we're going to have a 4-course meal and we're going to be spending easily together over close to $200 when we thought we were going to go out and get burgers. Funny enough, it didn't even turn out to be a Korean restaurant. It was some weird fusion between Spanish and Asian or Thai. It might have been a little bit of a Korean influence, but it wasn't entirely. So in the end, Steven wasn't too happy about it. So as we're looking at this menu and I see this price point and whatnot, I'm just looking at Steven and thinking, where the did you just take me? Where am I right now? But we both looked at each other in a way of, it wasn't because at any point we could have seen those prices, we could have seen what we were doing and been like, you know what, we can't do a 5-star restaurant right now. We can't do this big boy shit right now. But we both just kind of looked at each other and said, oh well, this is what we're doing tonight. Funny enough, throughout the night, as they brought our food out, they messed up our orders. So instead of bringing out we had to choose 2 starters and then a main course. So instead of bringing out my first starter and his first starter and then my second starter, his second starter, what they did was they brought out both of his starters at the first and then both of mine at the second. So we're both sitting there thinking, because like when they brought out the food, we looked at it and we were like, I know I ordered that, but I don't. And then the other person's like, but I didn't order this. And then it was a lot of confusion, but it also was nice because then we got to try more things, because I would have just eaten my own food if I wouldn't had like to like wonder whether or not mine was mine or that his was his or whatever. So we just shared a little bit, which was cool. The funny part also was when we went to order, kind of bringing it back a little bit, I've never been to a restaurant like this by myself, or like where I had to like take a little bit of charge, you know? So I had to ask the waitress, like, what am I doing? Like, which part am I choosing? How many of these am I choosing? Also, the fact that it was in German, I had no idea. And all these like fancy names and shit. Like, it wasn't just like some tuna tartare. It was like some random weird, very bougie, fancy name that I've never come across in my life. Now, the whole time this was happening, like the crew of people around us, like the people sitting on either ends of us, they both had like some interesting personalities as well. The one on the left of us, they seemed to just like not have any conversations whatsoever. They just sat there in silence the entire time that we were there, just like waiting, which I like, you know, fine, but they both looked like they were just there to judge people. It was actually kind of funny too, because this couple comes in the table to the right of us, and I watch them come in, like, you know, just looking around and whatever, and I see the guy. I lock eyes with the guy, the boyfriend, the husband, whatever it was, and he's like dead, like he just like holds eye contact with me and just goes, hello. And I was like, hi. And then I like slowly look away, and I was just like, I've never walked into a restaurant and just greeted the people that were around me. But or it wasn't like quiet, like a little like, no, like, hey, but no, it was like a full on hello. And I was so confused. A couple minutes later, I remember looking over at the table and they're gone. They're just gone. Either he got too embarrassed by the fact that he did that, or he saw the prices of this restaurant and he did what we didn't do and was like, we are in the wrong place. We can't do this. We have a mortgage and a family. This was the first time I've ever been to a restaurant where when they bring out the food, the person stands there and explains your food for you. And I realized that as like, because usually when somebody brings me at a normal restaurant, when somebody brings me my food, I'm pretty quick to jump into it because I'm hungry, you know? So the people bring out this thing on the tray, they put it on our table, and I go into it, but then the guy starts talking, so I like, and then bring myself back and then just look at him sheepishly, politely waiting for him to be done. Bless this man's heart. He trudged through the English so well, explaining what farm was this cow was from or whatever. Like I was prepared for the next time. Don't worry. I wasn't going to jump in the next time, but it was definitely the first time experience when it came to that. So to wrap this whole thing up, we were sitting there and I kind of started appreciating our drink waiter, because you know we have two waiters, you know, a drink waiter and a food waiter. The drink waiter, his English was impeccable. Like it was like very much a North American accent. So me being newly to Berlin and the American that I am, I asked him, I was like, where are you from? And he goes, Canada. And I said, cool. But then I asked him a question. It seems that like this is a very prestigious restaurant, and it probably isn't just like any other restaurant to work at. Like you probably have to have some sort of training or something to actually work at something this prestigious, this high end. And I was asking him about that. I was like, what's the deal with that? How does that work? He then begins to explain to me, like he gets kind of intrigued by it, you know? He's just like, yeah, it's very interesting that you asked that question. I don't get asked that question quite a lot. You know, it is an interesting thing, especially working at a Michelin Star restaurant. And I just stop when he says that, and I turn and I look to Steven and I go, where did you take me? Yeah, like I already knew that we were fancy, but we like just like wandered into a Michelin Star restaurant on the Friday before Valentine's Day, and we just got in on a whim, and we said, whatever. So we finished up our food. We ate everything. It was very good, even though they messed up our order, which I'm still kind of upset about because, you know, we spent a lot of money and we, you know, it was our Valentine's Day treat to each other, a little date. Also, I'll put up a picture. I think I have a picture of him and I during this time, or at least a picture of him on our date. But yeah, that's my story about how I accidentally landed in a Michelin Star restaurant on Valentine's Day, or the Friday before Valentine's Day. I love that. I love that story. I think it's funny. I think it's just when it happened, I wanted to tell everybody. Because it's just so situational. I don't know. It's like I was planning on going out to get a burger, and then I end up spending $100 on dinner just because, you know, why not? Which, if anything, was a really nice entry into I don't know, being here in Berlin. Like, I know it was February and I got here in July, the end of July, the year before. So I've been here for a little bit, but at this point it was like less of the honeymoon phase and more of like kind of finding what this city was really about, and like what I would be doing here and how I would be fitting in and who my friends are and like the actual people I'd be spending time with and whatnot. Because if you would have asked me a couple months, like when I first got here, who I think I'd be interacting with on a daily basis for the next year or two, it was a lot different than who was in my life at that point, even in February. It was a cool little experience of like anything can happen in this city, and it's just like finding these stories and like being happy with this part of your life of I don't know, just the weird little quirky side missions that you find yourself on. I don't know why I said missions. Again, like it was more of like the fact that I could have just looked at Steven and been like, we're not doing this. Like, and been that person of like, we can't afford this. I don't want to pay this. Let's go somewhere else. But I didn't. And now I have a story about it. It's more of just like just saying yes. And I think that's what that was kind of the beginning of the city, just like of understanding of just saying yes to opportunities and yes to things and events and stuff like that, because so many things can happen when you do say yes, but quite the opposite happens when you say no. Saying yes to an event or a party or a get-together or a dinner, that there's a slight part of me that's like, either I don't want to do this, or maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or I'm a little afraid, you know? But in the end, when I do say yes, I always have something to say afterwards, and I never regret it. And that's the whole thing. When I do say yes to these events and opportunities and times hanging out with people and whatnot, it's all just a part of the character building, and that's the cool part. You know, I'm able to develop more and meet new people and find new ways of thinking about life and everything, just because I said yes. So this is a message to all you people as this thing wraps up. Say yes more. I mean, stand your ground when you don't want to do things or when you're uncomfortable or whatnot. But when it comes to experiencing life, I think being more open and accepting of like the different things that you could be doing, rather than rejecting them because they may not be up to your standard or what you're normally into doing, it rounds you out so much as a person. And I find that very interesting and also very important when it comes to being able to interact with anybody. There's nothing cooler than walking into a conversation with somebody and they start talking about a thing and you go, oh my God, I know about that only because my friend invited me out to this one party that I was like meh about. And then I met this person that went on and on about billiards for some freaking stupid reason. And now I know a lot about billiards. You know, it's just like one of those little things. I don't know why I thought of billiards, but I was thinking of bowling at first because I watched the Cody and Noel do bowling, but I didn't want to say bowling. But now I'm saying bowling, and I'm going to end this now. thank you so much for watching. Hit like if you like these things, if you like the story, if you thought that was fun. I thought it was fun. I love that story. And if you enjoy my face and my voice and everything that's going on here on this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around and come back next time and leave a comment and do all those things. Tell me I'm pretty, because my self-esteem is low, so I need validation from people on the internet to like make me feel good. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.